is Q, and first off, I want to thank you guys for coming out and bringing us this information and taking the time to do the research that we all should be doing for ourselves.
Closer to the mic, please.
That we all should be actually doing for ourselves. I really appreciate that. Mr. Maxwell, I follow your stuff a lot. I think you're a legend. And I've heard you speak about the fact that we're not in tune with the divine force of the universe, and that because of that, we're in for a dark age. And I'm wondering if you believe that it has any connection with 2012, this dark age that is about to come upon the human species. Well, I mean, because everyone's thinking that 2012 we're going to be enlightened, and there's this great thing that's going to happen. I'm wondering if you think otherwise, if there's actually a dark age coming upon us.
Thank you. On my website, I have a place for quotes. And I've got a quote in there I feel is very important, where Dr. Flowers, who wrote a book called Fire and Ice, it's about the Saturnian Brotherhood, or the Brotherhood of Saturn, which is a very powerful secret society in Germany. And the book is called Fire and Ice, and the quote is on my website. And he said that, he was quoting, I think, one of the officials in the Saturnian Brotherhood, who said that although the age of Aquarius is supposed to be an age of egalitarian and enlightenment and freedom, etc., that he said, the way he said it, is that there is some extraordinarily good astrological implications that the world is always going to be in the hands of this dark side, that the age of Aquarius is going to be on the surface, a new world and a new age, but in point of fact, the same monies and the same powers and the same dark forces that have gripped this earth for 6,000 years are not about to give it up. So they've already prepared for this new age which is coming, and unless and until we as human beings, our men and women, understand that your freedom, as it has been said before, is in your own mind, it's in your own spirit, because there won't be any freedom or spirituality coming from the world that we live in. It's within you, between your God and your Creator and yourself.
It so happens that I have a subject that I've been wanting to talk about, so it seems like this will be just as good a time as any. In the Bible, there are many things that are misunderstood and mistranslated into English that comes from what we call Hebrew. First of all, we need to understand that that which we refer to as Hebrew is in point of fact not Hebrew, but Canaanite, Phoenician Canaanite. The bloodline is from the ancient Middle East called the Phoenicians. That area in which Phoenicia existed was called Cana, the land of Cana. So today we refer to the Phoenician Canaanite language as Hebrew. All you have to do is go to reference books and look up ancient Hebrew, and it will tell you ancient Hebrew is actually Phoenician Canaanite. And it develops and mutates and comes down through history until today we call it Hebrew. But Hebrew is actually a Phoenician language. Many of the concepts and ideas which are expressed in the Old Testament are not original to the Old Testament. It goes back even further back into ancient history, so that many of the concepts and belief systems in Judaism and Christianity are very, very ancient. I believe that the Bible is one of the most important books on the earth, because it's really telling you some really interesting things, but if you don't understand how to read the symbols, it's never going to dawn on you how this stuff works. I think the New Testament is probably the most important story in the whole world, not as history, but as a metaphor, as an encoded message. But let me go back to this one subject that I'm very interested in. In the beginning of the King James Bible, Genesis 1:1 says, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." But that's not what it says in the old ancient Hebrew or Phoenician language. That's not what it says in the original language. That's how it was translated from the English, in the King's English. Well, the King's English, the King James Version, was translated by the best translators that the king had at the time, and it was very well done. However, they know more about the language today than what they did then, and so there's a lot of imperfections in the King James Bible that could be misleading unless you understand what the words actually meant in the ancient world. When you read in the beginning, this is Genesis 1:1, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. That's not what it says in Hebrew. It says in the beginning of the creation, Elohim created the heavens and the earth. Elohim is not the word God. El is a Phoenician Canaanite word for deity. El, E-L. Lohim is like adding an S onto an English word. You have C-A-R for car, or C-A-R-S, cars, more than one. So adding an S to the end of most English words means it's in the plural. Well, that's exactly what Elohim means. El is God, Lohim is plural. So the correct understanding should be read, in the beginning, the gods created the heavens and the earth, not God. This is why, incidentally, in Genesis 1:28, when God is creating Adam and Eve, the first couple, and it says, God said, "Come, let us make man in our image, according to our likeness." Who's us and our? Was God talking to himself? Come, let us make man in our image, after our